Hello. Today I am doing a devotion from the garden as I'm trying to restrict my movement outside of the house. And this morning our reflection is around trees. And so I'm going to encourage you, if you are able to go out into the garden, to grab a leaf, which we're going to use for our meditation. And we're going to reflect on trees. So this is the tree that we've got in our garden. It's an apple tree. And we're going to use this and think about how we are all connected to each other and offer to God our prayers and thoughts this morning. Robert Macfarlane, in his book Underland, talks about the wood wide web and how we might imagine trees stand alone. Robert Macfarlane opens our eyes to the fact that trees are interconnected throughout nature with other organisms and with each other. In the root system beneath the trees in a forest, fungi and trees swap nutrients and food with each other. But it goes far beyond this basic exchange of goods between plant and fungi. The fungal network allows plants to distribute resources to one another. Sugars, nitrogen, and phosphorus can be shared between trees in a forest. A dying tree might divest its resources into the network to the benefit of the community, or a struggling tree might be supported with extra resources by its neighbours. Even more remarkably, the network allows plants to send immune signalling compounds to one another. A plant under attack from aphids can indicate to a nearby plant via the network that it should upregulate its defensive response before the aphids reach it. It has been known for some time that plants communicate above ground, but also below ground too. Ruth Valerio, in her Lent book this year, Saying Yes to Life, talks about this forest connection, this vast underground system of roots interwoven with an astonishingly dense network of fungal mycelium which exchange nutrients, help neighbours in times of need, and enable trees to pass on information about insects, droughts, and other dangers. They communicate with one another above ground too, as we see the umbrella thorn acacias in the African savanna. When a giraffe starts feeding on a particular tree, that tree sends up ethylene as a warning gas to other trees in the vicinity. Immediately, they pump giraffe-repelling toxins into their leaves, and the giraffes have to move some distance away to find trees that haven't had the memo. We think about ourselves isolated during this time of threat and disease, and the amazing network of community on which we rely. That in times of need, resources can be distributed among the community, so that those who strongest can give and send resources, food, energy, encouragement to those who are struggling. This community network is life-giving and life-saving. We have a lot to learn from the trees that we so often take for granted. I want you now to take that leaf that you've collected from your garden. Look at it closely. See the colours in it, the veins and the stalk. Marvel at its intricacy. Thank God for paying so much loving attention to something so small and delicate. Remember that God pays even more attention to you. You who are worth more than many leaves or trees or birds that sit in them. Scratch a leaf, break it in half. What does it smell like? Does it make your nostrils tingle? Does it help you breathe more easily? The book of Revelation says, "The angel has showed me the river of the water of life, sparkling like crystal and coming from the throne of God and of the Lamb, and flowing down the middle of the city street. On each side of the river was the tree of life, which bears fruit 12 times a year, once each month, and its leaves are for the healing of the nations." In the past, people understood about healing trees. They used willow bark as pain relief for headaches, mint for digestion, eucalyptus for colds. They understood that these plants were precious gifts of God for us. Think about some of those plants and herbs now, and spend some time thanking God for the healing He has given us. These days we forget easily how fragile we are, how dependent on God's gift. It's only when things like this happen that we find we are so reliant. We get medicine so easily, yet we are still dependent on them and on our scientists who scour looking for new cures and new medicines. And we spend time now praying for those whose diseases seem incurable. The leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. And we finish with a poem by the Reverend Francis Simon. To plant a tree is to say yes to life. It is to affirm our faith in the future. To plant a tree is to acknowledge our debt to the past. Seeds are not created out of nothing. To plant a tree is to cooperate in nature's works, whereby all forms of life are interdependent. To plant a tree is to take sorrow for past mistakes when we took life's gifts for granted. To plant a tree is to make a social statement for green consciousness, for conservation and ecology. To plant a tree is to enhance the quality of life. It brings beauty to the eyes and uplifts the spirit. To plant a tree is to make a spiritual statement or point. We are all members of the tree of life. We stand or fall together. Go well, and God bless.